Aimé Césaire once said, "I feel in myself a soul as immense as the world, truly a soul as deep as the deepest of rivers. My chest has the power to expand without limit." Meet Aimé Césaire, a man of many talents, a poet, a playwright, a politician, and a fierce anti-colonial activist. Born on a summer day in June in the year 1913, in Basse-Pointe, Martinique, a French colony, Césaire's journey was destined to be remarkable. His influence in Caribbean literature and post-colonial thought is still felt today, decades after his passing. He co-founded the Négritude movement, a testament to the pride and value of black culture in the face of colonialism and racism. And his political career? Just as dynamic. He served as the mayor of Fort-de-France, the capital of Martinique, for a staggering 56 years. An individual of many talents, Césaire's life is a testament to his immense soul. Born in 1913 in Basse-Pointe, Martinique, a French colony, Césaire's journey began. His early life was marked by a deep connection to his Caribbean roots, a connection that would later become a profound influence on his literary work and activism. Growing up in the vibrant culture of Martinique, Césaire's world was filled with a rich blend of African, Caribbean, and French influences. As a young boy, Césaire demonstrated a keen intellect and a passion for learning. This passion led him to the doors of the prestigious Lycée Louis-le-Grand in Paris, a world away from his Caribbean home. It was here that Césaire's intellectual journey truly took flight. At the Lycée, he immersed himself in a world of ideas and discourse, honing his intellectual skills and developing his distinctive voice as a writer and thinker. But it wasn't just the books and classrooms that shaped Césaire's time in Paris. The Lycée was a melting pot of young minds from across the French Empire, and it was here that Césaire met two individuals who would become significant figures in his life and work: Léopold Sédar Senghor and Léon Damas. Together they would form the backbone of the Négritude movement, a cultural and political wave that celebrated African culture, heritage, and identity in the face of colonialism and racism. Césaire's education was not just about learning from books. It was about learning from people, from experiences, and from the world around him. He absorbed the intellectual currents of the time, engaged in vibrant debates, and forged lifelong friendships. This period of his life was a crucible, shaping and refining his ideas, his passions, and his commitment to fighting for justice and equality. The seeds of Césaire's future work were planted during these formative years. His experiences in Martinique and Paris, his education, and the relationships he formed all played a pivotal role in shaping his worldview and his approach to literature, politics, and activism. These early years were the foundation of Césaire's intellectual and political journey. They laid the groundwork for a life dedicated to challenging colonialism, celebrating cultural identity, and shaping the discourse on race, identity, and liberation in the modern world. In the 1930s, a powerful movement was born, Négritude. This was a time when the world was in flux, and out of this turbulence, a beacon of cultural affirmation and resistance emerged. Négritude was a literary and cultural movement that championed the celebration of African culture, heritage, and identity in the face of colonialism and racism. At the heart of this movement were three remarkable men: Aimé Césaire, Léopold Sédar Senghor, and Léon Damas. These men, having met at the Lycée Louis-le-Grand in Paris, would form a bond that would shape the course of literature and post-colonial thought for generations to come. Césaire, a Martinican poet and politician, was a central figure in the Négritude movement. His writings were a clarion call, a passionate assertion of the pride and value of black culture. Césaire's voice was unfiltered and uncompromising, challenging the oppressive narratives of colonialism and racism. Alongside Césaire, Senghor and Damas were equally important in shaping the Négritude movement. Senghor, who would later become the first president of Senegal, contributed significantly to the intellectual development of the movement. Damas, a poet and politician from French Guiana, also played a pivotal role in articulating the principles of Négritude. The Négritude movement was more than just a literary and cultural phenomenon. It was a political statement, a bold and defiant assertion of black identity and self-worth. It was a call to arms, a rallying cry for those who had been marginalized and silenced by the forces of colonialism and racism. But above all, Négritude was a reclamation. It was a reclaiming of African heritage, a celebration of black identity, a redefinition of what it means to be black in a world dominated by colonial narratives. It was a movement that challenged the status quo and dared to envision a world where black culture and heritage were not just acknowledged but celebrated. Négritude was more than a movement, it was a reclamation of black identity. Césaire was not just a politician but also a poet and a playwright. Aimé Césaire's literary works are central to the Négritude movement, exploring themes of identity, colonialism, and cultural heritage. His poetry and plays are more than mere lines on a page. They're the heartbeats of a movement, the pulse of a culture asserting its worth. His most famous work, the poetic collection Cahiers d'un retour au pays natal, or Notebook of a Return to the Native Land, published in 1939, is a seminal piece of Caribbean literature and a masterpiece of modern French poetry. It's a journey of self-discovery, a narrative of a man returning to his homeland and reconciling with his African roots amid the harsh realities of colonialism. Césaire's words are not just ink on paper, they're an anthem, a rallying cry, a manifesto of cultural pride and resistance. But Césaire's influence wasn't limited to the literary world. His words leapt off the page and into the political arena. He served as the mayor of Fort-de-France, the capital of Martinique, for more than 5 decades, from 1945 to 2001. His political career was characterized by his tireless advocacy for autonomy and cultural pride within the French colonial context. He was a founding member of the Martinican Progressive Party, or the Parti Progressiste Martiniquais, a political entity that championed the rights and interests of the Martinican people. His political career wasn't just about holding office, it was about challenging the status quo, about advocating for change, about using his position of power to uplift his people. Aimé Césaire was a man of many facets, a poet, a playwright, a politician. But more than that, he was a beacon of resistance, a champion of cultural pride, and an advocate for change. His literary works reflected his political beliefs, and his political career was a testament to his commitment to his people and his culture. His words and actions were tools for change and resistance. Aimé Césaire was a man ahead of his time, a vocal critic of colonialism and imperialism. The echoes of his voice still reverberate today as we delve into his anti-colonial activism. Césaire's fight wasn't just a personal one, but rather a fight for the rights of colonized peoples across the globe. His words served as a rallying cry for decolonization, a clarion call for justice that resonated from the Caribbean to Africa and beyond. He was far from a passive observer. Césaire took his fight to the political arena. As mayor of Fort-de-France, the capital of Martinique, he was a founding member of the Martinican Progressive Party. His advocacy wasn't just about autonomy, but also about cultural pride within the French colonial context. His political activism wasn't separate from his literary work. They were two sides of the same coin, each amplifying the other. Césaire's writings, potent with the weight of his experiences and convictions, fed the flames of anti-colonial movements. His words weren't just beautiful, they were incendiary, igniting the minds and hearts of those who read them. His most famous work, Cahiers d'un retour au pays natal, or Notebook of a Return to the Native Land, is considered a seminal piece of Caribbean literature and a testament to the transformative power of words. The influence of Aimé Césaire extends far beyond his lifetime. His ideas and writings have inspired generations of scholars, writers, and activists in the fields of post-colonial studies, African diaspora studies, and critical race theory. His commitment to cultural and political resistance against oppression continues to resonate with people fighting for justice and equality worldwide. Césaire's legacy is as immense as the soul he felt within himself. Deep, expansive, and limitless. His life and work exemplify the power of literature and activism in challenging colonialism, celebrating cultural identity, and shaping the discourse on race, identity, and liberation in the modern world. His voice, once a lone cry against colonialism, has become a chorus of voices championing freedom and equality. And that truly is a legacy worth remembering. Aimé Césaire's life was a testament to his belief in the power of literature and activism. His journey, from the humble beginnings in Basse-Pointe, Martinique, to becoming an intellectual giant of the 20th century, is a story of resilience, determination, and unyielding belief in the power of words to bring about change. His work, both in literature and politics, championed the cause of the colonized, the marginalized, and the oppressed. Whether it was through his powerful poetry, his influential plays, or his tireless political activism, Césaire always stood firm in his convictions. His life's work, the Négritude movement, sought to instill pride and value in black culture, challenging colonialism and racism head-on. His writings continue to resonate, inspire, and incite action, influencing generations of scholars, writers, and activists. In Césaire's own words, his soul was as immense as the world, and his legacy is a testament to that depth and expansiveness.